Hello everybody. After studying this module, you shall be able to define the term motivation, describe the motivation process, know the nature of motivation, analyze the functions of motivation, and identify the early theories of motivation. Motivation is often described as a prerequisite to any action. It is what drives people towards a goal. Motivation generates efforts to accomplish something. If the efforts are concerned with any goal, it is motivation in the general sense. Motivation seen amongst the employees in an organization towards achieving organizational goals is nothing but work related motivation. When it comes to organizations, motivation is an important concept. Contemporary organizations are goal driven. They are primarily concerned with results and outputs. In order to deliver what the organization requires, an individual has to put in a lot of efforts in his or her roles. This is where motivation exhibits its importance. Employees who are highly motivated are usually the ones who are showing superior performance in comparison to the less motivated individuals. Motivation, its basic nature and process. Now, first of all, we will define the term motivation and its meaning. The term motivation can be traced to the Latin word movere, which means to move. This term has been defined in many different ways. Few of the definitions are: motivation is a process that starts with a physiological or psychological deficiency or need that activates a behavior or a drive that is aimed at a goal or incentive. This definition was given by Fred Luthans in 1998. Another definition from Robinson Judge 2009 is: motivation is one of the processes that account for an individual's intensity, direction and persistence of effort towards attaining a goal. Intensity deals with how hard an individual tries to achieve a goal. The direction depicts towards which goal the efforts are being made, and persistence describes whether or not the engaged individual persists in their efforts, maintaining focus over a period of time. Now, coming to the motivation process, the basic process of motivation proceeds towards three phases. The essence of the entire process can be stated as needs setup, drives aimed at incentives. Thus, the process of motivation consists of following three interconnected elements. A. Needs. Needs are nothing but results of a physical or psychological deficiency. Whenever there is an imbalance in a physical or psychological state, a need is originated and the organism springs into action to satisfy this need. This is the origin of motivation. B. Drives. Any need which gets activated in response to a deficiency requires to be elevated. To do this, drives or motives are set up. Drives may be physical or psychological, and they work by providing a thrust towards reaching an incentive. C. Incentives. Incentives are a culmination of motivational process. Incentives are nothing but those factors which work towards reducing a drive by alleviating a need. Incentives are important to restore the balance, physical as well as psychological. attainment of desired incentives tends to cut off the drive. Now coming to the nature of motivation, first, motivation is an inner feeling. Motivation originates within an individual and drives him or her towards a goal. It is an inner energizing feeling. Second, it is originated out of an imbalance. Motivation originates when an organism's equilibrium is disturbed by one or multiple unsatisfied needs. The actions taken by the organism in order to satisfy their need to restore the equilibrium is nothing but motivation. Third, motivation is goal directed. Motivation is always directed towards a goal. Attainment of that goal is the primary focus of motivation. Fourth, motivation can be extrinsic or intrinsic. Motivation may come from a number of sources. If that source lies within an individual, it is called intrinsic motivation. On the other hand, if a motivation source lies outside an individual, it is called extrinsic motivation. For example, if an individual wins a race to obtain a bicycle as the prize, it is extrinsic motivation. But if an individual wins a race to satisfy his need for achievement, it is called intrinsic motivation. Now coming to early theories of motivation, the early theories of work motivation attempted to determine the factors which motivated individuals at work. They identified the needs and the drives of people which form the underlying motivational base for work. There are four important early motivation theories. They are hierarchy of needs theory by Maslow in 1954, theory of motivation given by Herzberg in 1959. Then we have the theory X and theory Y given by Douglas McGregor in 1960 and ERG theory given by Clayton Alderfer in 1969. First of all, we will discuss the first theory, which is hierarchy of needs theory, which was given by Abraham Maslow in 1954. The hierarchy of needs theory of motivation was proposed by Abraham Maslow. This theory organized human needs in the form of a hierarchy ranging from lower order needs to the higher order needs. Lower order needs are satisfied externally, while the higher order needs are satisfied internally. This theory suggested that human needs work to motivate to satisfy them. Once a need is satisfied, it no longer motivates. Also, the lower needs are activated before the higher order needs. Maslow identified the following 5 types of needs. First is physiological needs, the second is safety needs, the third is love and belongingness needs, the fourth is esteem needs, and the fifth is the need for self-actualization. Coming to physiological needs, it is the most basic level in the hierarchy of needs and therefore gets activated first. These are basic physical needs like hunger, thirst, sex, etc. According to the theory, once satisfied, these needs no longer motivate. The second is safety and security needs, just above the physiological needs. It forms the second level in the hierarchy. Once the physical needs are satisfied, the safety and security needs activate. The theory identifies physical as well as emotional security needs. The third is love and belongingness needs. These needs fall at the intermediate level and include the needs of an individual to affiliate, belong with others. Hence, these needs are also called social needs. The fourth is esteem needs. The esteem needs represent the higher order needs of an individual. This level includes needs for power, achievement and status. And the last is self-actualization needs. This is the highest level in the hierarchy of human needs and is attained when an individual has realized all his or her potential. Now coming to assessment of hierarchy of needs theory. The hierarchy of needs theory is an easy to understand theory. It has contributed to identify the diversity of needs inherent in human nature. This theory is highly influential and is often uncritically accepted in the literature. On the downside, this theory lacks empirical support. There is not much of evidence suggesting that human needs are structurally organized as pointed out by Maslow. The distinction between human needs is usually not as clear as suggested by this theory. The second theory is the two-factor theory of motivation. The two-factor theory of motivation was propounded by Frederick Herzberg in 1959. It is also called as the motivation hygiene theory. Based on his research, Herzberg reported that people's general good feelings about their jobs were associated with job content or job experiences, while their bad feelings about their job were associated with job context, that is the peripheral aspects of the job. In other words, Herzberg believed that job satisfiers, termed as motivators, were related to job content, while the job dissatisfiers, termed as hygiene factors, were related to the job context. According to this theory, the hygiene factors in themselves are not capable of making a job satisfying and hence motivating people. They are preventive in that they prevent job dissatisfaction when present. Only motivators are capable of motivating the employees. Now there are various factors which come under hygiene factors and various factors which come under motivated factors. Under hygiene factors, we have things like company policy, administration, supervision, salary, interpersonal relations, working conditions. And under motivating factors, we have achievement recognition, work itself, responsibility, advancement, etc. Now coming to hygiene factors, these are those factors associated with the job context, that is the surrounding aspects of the job which when adequate prevent the workers from feeling dissatisfied with their jobs. These are roughly equivalent to Maslow's lower order needs and include the factors such as company policies, administration, supervision, salary, working conditions, etc. These factors themselves are not capable of producing satisfaction. These are extrinsic factors and do not include the features of the work itself. Now coming to the next set of factors, which is called as the motivators. Motivators are those factors which actually produce satisfaction and hence motivation in the workers. These are intrinsic factors closely associated with the job itself. For example, achievement, recognition, opportunities of advancement, characteristics of work itself, etc. These factors correspond to Maslow's higher order needs. Motivators can overshadow the effect of hygiene factors. An individual who finds his or her job as challenging and interesting might not feel dissatisfied with it if the working conditions are not up to the mark. This theory challenged the conventional way of situating dissatisfaction as the opposite of satisfaction. Herzberg emphasized that the opposite of satisfaction was no satisfaction or the absence of satisfaction. On the other hand, the opposite of dissatisfaction is no dissatisfaction. It is important to note that an absence of dissatisfaction does not mean satisfaction. Thus, this theory contends that in order to motivate individuals, the motivators should be emphasized while holding hygiene factors adequate. An unnecessary emphasis on extrinsic factors won't produce satisfaction if the motivators are not in the order because they appeal to the higher order human needs. Now, coming to the assessment of Herzberg's two-factor theory, Herzberg's theory has contributed considerably to the understanding of work motivation. His work was more applicable to the work situations in comparison to the previous motivation theories like Maslow's. He highlighted the importance of job content factors in producing work motivation, which were badly neglected prior to this theory. On the other hand, this theory has been criticized for oversimplifying the complexities of work motivation. Herzberg's research on which this theory is based has been questioned for its methodology and sample characteristics. Example, motivators and hygiene factors would be very different based on the age of people involved as well as the complexity of their job. The two factors have not been recognized as universal because there can be factors such as pay which can produce satisfaction as well as dissatisfaction. Coming to the next set of theory is theory X and theory Y. Douglas McGregor in 1960 proposed two different theories adopting two distinct views of human nature. The first, called the theory X, took a negative view of human beings, while the second, that is the theory Y, assumed a more sympathetic position towards human beings and was basically a more positive one of the two theories. McGregor postulated that managers hold certain assumptions about their employees and behave according to these assumptions. Now, assumptions of theory X. Theory X adopted a negative view of human beings and hence was based on the following assumptions. Human beings are lazy and inherently dislike work and hence strive to avoid it wherever possible. Second, working does not come naturally to them and hence should be forced, coerced or even threatened to get them to work. Third, human beings evade responsibility and require formal direction in order to guide them towards desired goals. And fourth, human beings lack creativity and ambition to work. Assumptions of Theory Y. Theory Y holds a more positive view of the human beings and is based on the following assumptions. Human beings are capable of working as naturally as rest or play. They are capable of self-direction and self-control and require formal direction only under certain circumstances. Human beings can learn to assume, even seek responsibility. Creativity is not exclusive to those holding management positions, but is dispersed widely throughout the population, including subordinate employees. These two theories held that managers' behavior towards their subordinates is based on which grouping of assumptions a manager believes in. Their behavior is also modified according to these assumptions. Coming to the assessment of Theory X and Theory Y, these theories accepted the diversity of human nature in terms of desire and capability to work, assume responsibility and displaying creativity. But there is no evidence validating either set of assumptions. McGregor himself believed that the assumptions of Theory Y were more valid and hence suggested that motivation could be maximized by participative decision making, interesting jobs and good group relations. Although popular, there is no empirical support for these theories. Coming to the last set of theory, that is the Alderfer's ERG theory. Clayton Alderfer in 1969, ERG theory is essentially an extension of Herzberg's and especially Maslow's theory of motivation. This theory is called ERG theory because Alderfer identified three groups of core needs: existence, relatedness and growth needs, hence ERG. They are discussed as follows. First is the existence needs. The existence needs are associated with the basic process of survival, that is physiological well-being and provision of basic necessities including material requirements. These needs correspond to Maslow's lower order needs like physical needs, safety and security needs. The second is the relatedness needs. These needs reflect an individual's desire for relationships. They come at an intermediate level between the existence and growth needs. These needs correspond to Maslow's love and belongingness needs and highlight the importance of interpersonal and social relationships. And the third set of needs is the growth needs. These needs highlight an individual's desire for personal growth and development. In Alderfer's theory, these needs occupy the highest level, just like Maslow's esteem and self-actualization needs. Alderfer's ERG theory brought out a new perspective for looking at human needs. It presented the needs in a continuum rather than a hierarchy. Alderfer suggested that satisfaction of lower order needs was not necessary to activate higher level needs and that the needs do not follow a strict order. Higher needs might take precedence over lower needs depending on the circumstances. For example, in some cultures, relatedness needs are felt more strongly even than the existence needs. The fulfillment of human needs can follow any of the following two processes. First is satisfaction progression. In this process, a person moves from the lower needs to higher needs on the basis of satisfaction of lower needs. ERG theory does not strictly believe in this approach. This process is supported in Maslow's theory, where an individual is unable to reach the higher needs if lower needs are not met. The second is frustration regression. On the contrary, ERG theory suggests that frustration over inability to satisfy a higher order need might lead to regression to a lower level. In other words, if an individual's higher needs are not met due to any reason, he or she is more likely to regress back to the lower needs and begin to feel them more strongly. This is a major point of difference between Maslow's and Alderfer's theories, that ERG believes if a higher level need cannot be fulfilled, the desire to satisfy a lower level need increases. Now coming to the comparison of ERG theory with Maslow's theory, though there are a lot of similarities between both the theories, they also differ on certain aspects. They are as follows. Maslow's theory, needs are organized in the form of a rigid hierarchy, while in Alderfer's theory, needs are arranged in more of a continuum rather than a hierarchy. Second, there are strict lines of demarcation between the needs in Maslow's theory. There are no strict lines of demarcation between the needs in Alderfer's. Third, lower needs of a person must be fulfilled before a higher needs get activated. That is in Maslow's theory. Fulfillment of lower needs is not essential for higher needs to be activated in Alderfer's. Fourth, individual cannot focus on more than one need simultaneously in Maslow's theory, while in Alderfer's, individual can focus on multiple needs simultaneously. Next, fulfillment of a need elevates it and it no longer motivates an individual, that is in Maslow's theory, while in Alderfer's, fulfillment of certain needs like growth needs might increase their intensity, that is in Alderfer's. And lastly, in Maslow's theory, it follows satisfaction progression process, while in Alderfer's, it follows the frustration regression process. Now coming to the assessment of ERG theory encompasses some of the strong points of its predecessors, but it is not as rigid. This theory is more flexible in its approach. It has been criticized for the lack of empirical and research evidences in its favor. Coming to the summary, motivation originates out of a physical or psychological deficiency and proceeds through drives and incentives. Motivation is an inner feeling, goal directed, and can be intrinsic as well as extrinsic. Early theories of motivation represent a foundation from which contemporary theories have grown. Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory organized human needs in rigid hierarchy with lower needs satisfied before the higher order needs. Herzberg's two-factor theory differentiated between hygiene factors which prevent dissatisfaction at job and motivators which motivate employees. McGregor's theory X adopted a negative view of human beings, while his theory Y adopted a more positive outlook. Alderfer's ERG theory is also based on classification of human needs, but is more flexible than its predecessors.